Hi, my name is Mark, and I think nowadays probably all of us have at least considered at one point or another to get a 7-string guitar or to get a baritone guitar, or even before that. I think it all starts when we all tuned to drop D the first time and we're like, oh my god, it sounds so heavy. But then we were like, drop D, it's not so heavy. We go down to drop C or drop C sharp, and we keep going drop B if you want to play some like Slipknot songs. Then you learn about all the GNT stuff, and you go drop A, drop G, all that sort of thing. If you have a baritone guitar, or if you have a 7-string guitar, 8-string guitar, all of those things. Now, in my situation, I kind of really want to get a 7-string guitar, not just for the GNT stuff, but I actually think it could be really cool for like some chordal stuff and to get a little bit more range on the guitar. I think that could be really cool. I'm thinking about maybe getting a 7-string guitar, but if you've seen my last video where I unboxed my latest guitar, a little bit of a plug, but I think at this point it's already like pretty established that us musicians have been struggling a little bit with this pandemic situation when it comes to gigs and keeping ourselves afloat. And if I hadn't just bought this new guitar, I guess I could buy just like a cheap 7-string, but I kind of have my eyes on a specific 7-string. So yeah, until we get to that part, I started to ask myself the question that, well, I think at this point many YouTubers have asked that question, which is, well, if I want to get more range, especially for like recording songs, sometimes it's good to have something like a baritone guitar or a 7-string guitar or something like that. Even though they are different beasts, but at this point what we're talking about is having something with a lower range. So I was like, well, okay, maybe I should tune one of my guitars like all the way down. But I was thinking, well, I have to get some thick strings and whatever. But most of my guitars are in specific tunings or just standard tunings because it's a guitar I really need quickly to get some ideas or record some stuff. And it's usually better if it's in standard tuning or like a half step down or something like that, so that it's easy to maneuver around. So I was like, well, what exactly do I do? But then I remembered this. Okay, so this is an Ibanez RGDIX 6MPB. So pretty much the RGD is kind of this Kiesel-like shape. It has the beveled edges and it has this very much thing. This is an older model, and this is not my guitar actually. This guitar belongs to my brother. Now, my brother started playing guitar around the same time I started playing bass. He just never really got as much into it because I started getting into gigging and bands and stuff like that and playing with my friends, and he wasn't really that much into it. I mean, I guess he was, but he didn't have as much friends that were playing around, and he thought me and my friends were like a little bit too old for him, so he kind of just played at home. And a couple of years ago, he found this guitar that he really liked. I think it's because Tim Henson was playing this model for a while, and he really likes Polyphia and Tim Henson way before all this boom, like when it was back in like the Champagne and the Lit days. Like, he was really into them and really into Tim. So when he saw this guitar and he saw Tim using it, I thought he was like, well, I really like the guitar and I like Tim. So we went on Reverb and I found him a good deal on this model. And he did play it for quite a while. But last year he started college, so he was like, well, I'm not sure if I'm really going to be having too much time for playing, so I'll just leave the guitar at home. And he took like an acoustic, like an Allen acoustic. So this guitar was left unwanted. So I was like, well, I can get it some use, and he was fine with it. If you don't know anything about this model, of course, the RGD, the Kiesel-like shape, right? And it is a RGD IX6 for 6 strings. I am not sure what completely the M would be for, but the PB would be for poplar burl. Because you see, it has this like poplar burl veneer on top, and this looks quite swanky, to be honest. It's not exactly my thing. He did put a little sticker on it. A swamp ash body, as you can see. It has a bird's eye maple fretboard, and the back of the neck is this like maple, and I think this is walnut. I've seen some websites saying it's Ripple Heart, but I think it's walnut. So yeah, 3-piece maple, walnut, maple neck. Go-to locking tuners, which were a real lifesaver. I mean, my brother wasn't used to locking tuners at all, and I was the one changing his strings before the locking tuners came on his other guitars. You might know that I have another Ibanez, like an AG75, I think. It's like a hollow body model, that was his as well. That one doesn't have locking tuners, and I actually think maybe I should upgrade them to locking tuners, because it's a pain in the ass to restring that guitar. That guitar doesn't get as much play as it should, but hey, it is what it is. A couple more specs. We have the Marzio Fusion Hedge humbuckers. We have like a Gibraltar bridge, which is kind of like a huge mass hip shot, if I would have to describe it. Like, it doesn't feel as slender and as ergonomic as a hip shot bridge, but it feels nice. Like, there's no sharp edges. Like, you'll probably see in the close-up camera after, but all the saddles are well rounded and stuff, which I can appreciate. Just one volume, no tone or anything. Just a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. And a three-way toggle switch in an interesting position. But why did I think that maybe this guitar would be a good guitar tuned all the way down and make like a pseudo baritone, even though we all have seen those videos of YouTubers being like, oh, I got these super heavy strings on my guitar, and it's now a fake baritone, but it's not the same thing, it doesn't feel right. Well, this guitar actually has a longer scale length. The point of this guitar would be to kind of be an in-between between a 6-string regular scale length guitar and a baritone guitar. For those people who are like, well, I kind of want to tune down, but I don't want a full baritone, because a full baritone does feel a very specific way. It's kind of like in between a bass and a guitar, not only like in theory-wise, like the scale length and the specs, but feel-wise, it kind of feels like something in between a bass and a guitar. This one just feels like a normal guitar, but it does have a certain thing to it. So I was like, alright, since usually like a Fender scale length is 25.5 inch scales, and a baritone I think it's like over 27 or something like that, or over 28, this one is 26.5, so it's just an inch over the scale length of a regular like Fender guitar or regular Ibanez guitar. But I think that because this guitar hasn't been used, and sure, it is kind of a metal guitar, and it doesn't have any like coil splits or anything, it's obviously not going to be like the perfect baritone guitar with all the most tones and whatever, but I think it would be a starting point, not only for recording, but even if I do want some more different tones with like some sort of baritone-ish sound, I can always get some sort of different EQ on it and try to polish it up a little bit. So I'd say for now, let's take a look at how this sounds right now. I think it's probably in standard tuning. If it's not, I'll tune it up to standard tuning. I think it has maybe 9.5s, I think, or just maybe 9s, I don't know. It has one of those. We're going to try it out, see how it sounds. It probably has some older strings, but hey. And then we're going to put it into the bench, and we're going to, well, put some heavier strings on it. Okay, so let's start with maybe some clean sounds, just so you know how this guitar sounds before all the, like, heavy stringery and stuff. Again, these are Fusion Hatch humbuckers, and they're not like super high output, but they're pretty high output, and they're pretty far high on the strings. My brother liked how it sounds, so he wouldn't change it, but since I'm the one using it, I'll probably change it a little bit. Again, it's the standard preset I usually use. If you watch the latest video, we're still going through like a clean Vox-ish thing, very compressed, so for more like a poppy country sound. Then we're going for like a crunch sound, kind of like a plexi sort of thing. And then a more lead 80s metalish sound with like a Friedman BE. Going through the Kemper, I'm using the Zilla 2x12, but you won't be listening to that. You'll be listening to like a Mesa 412 IR sort of a thing with a Shure SM57 that's on the Kemper. And the regular EQ that all that brings to the mix, I guess. And the only thing I am adding to this is because these pickups are so powerful when compared to my other pickups. It does distort everything more than usual. It adds a little bit more input gain. So what I did was I went to the input gain of my Kemper Profiler, and I dropped the input volume by a couple of dBs, like 2 or 3 dB, something like that, just so that it wouldn't distort as much. But still, like, if you go compare this to the other videos, like, you can probably check out that it's a little bit more high output. But yes, let's go first for the clean sound. Again, there's no tone knob, there's no coil splits, there's just a 3-way switch and 2 humbuckers, so this will be the bridge pickup. Now the strings are fairly old and they're kind of rusty, so it will probably like take away some of the brightness of the tone and some of a little bit of the body, but again, this isn't to be like a full like whoa demo, it's just like a little bit of a touchy thing. Again, it's a humbucker, so it's not like it's going to be like the most wonderful like funk tone, but for the pop stuff and for the metal stuff, it does its thing, really, so I think it can be somewhat useful. Again, the neck pickup. It's a little bit juicy, I won't lie. It's not really like my favorite sort of combination, but one thing I can give them props to at Ibanez and Damar's is that they are both like balanced pickups. Let's go for the middle position now. Again, also good for all the cleany stuff, the pop punk arpeggiated chords like before. And of course, it being the middle position, this one is quite sparkly actually. I don't think it's coil split or anything, but it does do like the funky stuff pretty well. And I just hit the switch there, which changes to the bridge pickup. But yeah, that was a clean sound. Again, let's go for a more quick crunch sound. You'll probably be able to notice that this guitar being much more high output. Now on the crunch sound, it will give us more gain than back with the other guitars. If I play lightly, it still gets clean, but it's kind of like not as clean as in my other guitars. Again, it's the high output pickups, but it does sound good. For me personally, it's not too inspiring, but that's not the point of this guitar. We're making this guitar into a whole different thing. So yeah, that's the bridge pickup sound, neck pickup sound. And in this one, you kind of get the thing that I said in other videos, that sometimes neck humbuckers can get a little bit muddy when it's for the rhythm stuff. But it's not like it sounds bad, and for lead stuff, it definitely does work. So yeah, neck pickup for whatever it goes for, and now the middle position. Maybe for soloing it can do something different. Well, I guess it did do the captain's lick in there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And even if some of you guys are like, oh, but that guitar has the longer scale length, it's supposed to be for the more metal-y stuff. Well, sure, I can get that part, but even if I do tune to drop D, and I do give you some of the real gain now. Sure, it does like the high gain thing pretty well, and sure, maybe that was the point of this guitar, with all the larger scale length and whatever. But, and sure, this is like an outdated model, they don't do this specific model anymore, but like for a metal thing, sure, the high gain is very important, very, very important, of course, it's metal we're talking about. But for the more contemporary stuff, it really is super important to still have like the sparkly cleans, which I guess this sort of has, but to be honest, it was a little bit underwhelming for my personal tastes, and I guess I'm not really a metal player. With the crunch, like, broken up sounds, like, this works, but it really left me, like, wanting a little bit something different. But again, this is not my guitar, and this is not the point of the video. So, yeah, just for the last sake of comparison, I guess. That was the bridge pickup, as you noticed, with the high gain. This would be the neck pickup, very creamy for the lead solos. The middle position. So that's how it sounds like. Again, I would give it just a meh on my personal opinion, but I didn't buy this guitar, did I? It was my brother's guitar, and we're doing something different with it, and let's check it out. Perhaps with it having some thicker strings and getting into a different range, perhaps it will feel, to me, more inspiring. And obviously these strings are very old and very rusty, so they don't make playing very easy at all, so that might have affected the playability and the tone, but I've played this guitar before, I know how it feels like. But yeah, and I even wrote it. One of my songs was partially written on this guitar, which is interesting. So, yes. Let's proceed to the bench and let's see what we're going to do with it. So I did tell you that I was going to take you to the bench and show you throughout the process that we did, but the footage of that process got corrupted. I don't know why, but for some reason I keep having trouble with the Shure MV88 app thingy, the video recording app. For those who don't know, I am using my iPhone, I think it's an iPhone 11. I'm using with the Shure MV88 microphone. It's the microphone from Shure that you plug into the phone, and it has like a specific video recording app, so that you can configure like what is the frame rate you want to record at, and what is like the frame rate of the audio you want to record as well, which is good for like when I'm syncing up later with the sounds of the guitar tracks. But yeah, for some reason I keep recording the videos and it doesn't tell me anything is going wrong. When I stop recording it's like, oh, we had an error, we couldn't save the video. So yeah, I just spent like, I don't even know how long, maybe like 30 minutes restringing the guitar and changing the stuff, probably more like 45 minutes at this point. I spent a long time doing it and it just all went kaboosh. And yes, kaboosh is a technical term. Pain in the ass, but pretty much we didn't do like nothing too fancy. The one thing we did was that the volume pot was kind of scratchy, so we took out this backplate, which is shielded, which was cool, and I sprayed some guitarsit on it, which is just like regular guitar contact cleaner. Not too much of a big deal. Another thing we did was we changed all the strings to the Dario NYXL 11 to 56, so the green pack that is optimized for drop tuning. And yes, I know what you guys are saying, like, oh, wasn't it going to be a baritone guitar? You're not going to be drop tuning. I'm like, well, if I want to, I prefer to have a thicker string so that I can do it. Another thing that I showed you guys, that when you change your strings, like, you can just change your strings and assume that they're going to be always going out of tune, and you just need to tune them until they go into place. But one thing that you can actually do is that you can take a cloth, just so that like you don't get your dirty, sweaty hands on the strings, like I'm doing in this one right now, but hey, it is what it is. And you're going to take a string, let's say like the 6th string, and right now it's tuned perfectly. It's in B. So you're going to take the string, and you're literally going to be like pulling on the string. And you can see like I'm pulling pretty hard on the string, and I'm not going to break the string, because you can feel like when you're pulling the string, you can feel like when it's too much strength, and you're probably going to break the string. And you're like going to wiggle it around. First, I like to do it like first up and down. And then after I do it up and down, like it's still in tune, it's still in B, so because I've already stretched it, the footage you were supposed to see that you didn't get to see. And then you're going to like wiggle it around, up and down, like if you're going to do an extreme bend on that string. And you see the string is still in tune, it's still in the note B, which is very good when I have to play a show and you're going to restring your guitar before the show and nothing happens. That for me is pretty cool. So yes, 11 to 56, we put some guitarsit on the volume pot. I checked Intonation. Intonation is pretty good. Like, you can get like a little bit more nerdy in there and try to figure it out, but through my experience, Intonation is a very like funky thing. Like, if you mess with it, it's more likely that you're going to ruin it than to keep it good. And right now, like, everything is pretty good. The other thing we could check is the action and how well it is, like if there's any fret buzz. And I think it's pretty good. Like, it could be a little bit lower here on the 12th fret. Again, it's not like it's high, it's just a little bit higher than I would have. And again, there's all this rattle in here, which we'll take care of, and of course we have the going on, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I'm just going to put a cloth over this right now, just so we don't get that extra ringing noise while we check out how this guitar turned. So the question is, and I think it is one of those questions that kind of answers itself, which is, can we take like a half-breed between a baritone and a regular guitar and make it somewhat of a baritone? I haven't really heard it, I haven't really tried it more than like I have with you, so we're gonna do it for the first time. Like, let's check it out with the clean sound, because we did clean sound first last time. So again, bridge pickup. Now that sounds very deep and thick, which I like. Compared to before, because now it's down-tuned. Like, it even sounds like throatier, if that makes any sense. Let's go for the neck pickup now. The neck pickup still doesn't quite do it for me. It's quite bassy, but perhaps we can change some of the EQ later, or I'm even thinking of dropping the pickups down a little bit. But yeah, for the sake of the experiment, let's leave them how they are, and let's go for the middle position now. Like, it might just be because it's very low and throaty and it's doing the baritone thing. But I'm actually vibing with this guitar a lot. Let's go for the crunchy sound. Again, let's try to do the picking lightly thing. So let's go for the neck pickup. Let's go for the middle position now. Let's go, finally, lastly but not leastly, to the whole metal-y stuff. Well, before I get too carried away with it, let's go for the neck pickup. Both humbuckers. Conclusions of this experiment, I guess. It wasn't really an experiment, just an idea that I had of getting this guitar some more love since it's not going to be played as much anymore. Number one, who would have thought a guitar meant to be down-tuned is going to be sound better down-tuned? Who would have thought that? But yeah, it's not just a matter of sounding better. I connect much more with this guitar with it being down-tuned. I think that it's just because I don't really gel with this guitar. It's not a guitar I would get for me. Not in this color, the neck shape is a little bit too thin for me. My Jackson Kelly is also thin, but it has emotional value. But yeah, I'd say mostly this guitar being in this baritone format, makes me play differently and makes me connect with the guitar in a different way. Not necessarily better or worse, just different. And I think ultimately that is what it is all about. If you have a guitar that's not being loved as much, or if you have a guitar that's just like hard to play or something, do something with it. Change the tuning to an open tuning, or tune it down, or tune it up perhaps, or even like get it with the accent super high and play slide on it. Like, I think sometimes when it comes to all this gear stuff, like, hey, if you don't gel with a guitar, sell it, get another one. But when it's something that's like, with this guitar, like, I'm not going to sell it, it belongs to my brother. But since it was not being played and it was just standing in the rack, I was like, well, I better do something with it. So, yeah, in this situation, I think we did a good thing. I think it's going to get much more love, this guitar, and I think it's going to be really fun to work out some new parts and for new songs and getting some new baritone ideas in. So yeah, you guys tell me what you think. Again, I know this video was a little bit weird. I was expecting for something else, but yeah, with all the situation of the save file not being recorded, not being saved actually, like, it ruined a bunch of the video, and I'm hoping that now I'm talking and I can still keep this one. But yeah, tell me what you guys thought in the comment section below. Do you have a guitar that you don't play as much as you want to, or perhaps it should? Tell me what you guys think of the guitar itself. Do you have a guitar like this? If there's any other videos you guys would like me to make, or any things you'd like me to check out or do, please do it. I'm trying to get back to YouTube videos, so if you have any suggestions, that would be cool. I usually do guitar lessons, but hey, anything is up to the game, as you see with the last videos we've been making. So yeah, if you stayed this far, thank you very much for watching. Again, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Turn on all the notifications, ring the little bell thingy, because like, that's the only way you're gonna really get all of my videos, because if you just subscribe, it's likely that you won't get all of them, or even any at all. So please subscribe and ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, and check out my social media. I post some exclusive stuff on there that you might be interested in, and teasers for videos and stuff like that, so please do. And yeah, again, just thank you so very much for your support lately, and for all the things you guys do for me. So yeah, I hope I see you in the next video. Cheers! So, Biggest Dickus, do you know what a baritone guitar is?
Kinda.
Okay, so a baritone guitar is kind of like a guitar that's in between a regular guitar and a bass. So it's tuned lower, okay? And usually intervals are the same. So all the chords you play on your regular guitar, you can play on that guitar as well, okay? So pretty much you can play whatever you want to, just sound deeper, like in between the bass and the guitar, okay? Now we'll run the clean sound. You want the clean sound, or you want something distorted?
I'll have the clean sound.
What do you think?
It's really deep. I didn't think that it would be this low. It almost sounds like a bass. It's weird. The chords are chunky
Yeah,
chords.
the chords are chunky.
Yeah, I don't feel used to it. Like, it's chunky, and I have to pick harder, and I'm not used to picking harder. But it's cool. I like it. I will enjoy to play it more.
So you give the seal of approval?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I approve.
Yeah, sure.